Each year, slightly after Christmas, and usually for my first book review of the year, I review the latest Booker Prize winner. It is often a book that is far outside my comfort zone and one that has a poignant message, along with a very engrossing, often unique style of writing. The 7 Moons of Maali Almeida tells the tale of a war photographer amid the brutal and bloody Sri Lankan civil war. Awakening in a strange waiting room, protagonist Maali Almeida learns that he has passed to an afterlife, a sort of in-between of life and death, but knows nothing about how or why. This book is set in the 1980s and was written by author Shehan Karunatilaka. It evokes strong themes of anti-war, albeit ones wrapped in a satirical mesh. This book can have you reeling at the tragedy of war while sniggering at the described chaos that comes thereafter. In that regard, it does achieve a feat that so little can. It balances a sense of sadness with a sense of humour, and in this, it does well. When Maali first awakens, he is surrounded by a sea of lost souls, people who've recently died, who immediately wish to complain to whomever is available. Maali is told by a woman manning one of the many desks that he should proceed to a higher floor so his ears can be checked. It is said that a person may live many lives, however the inside of their ears never change and reveal any past sins. Maali is sceptical about the whole situation and is later told he has 7 moons to head to what is called the light. What lies beyond this boundary is unknown, only that it is the next step that needs to be taken for those who've passed on. However, not all choose to take it. The spirits of this world float between the living and cannot be seen. Maali has no clue how he died and refuses to join the light until he has some type of better understanding. Maali also wishes to influence the dire situation across Sri Lanka, where civil war appears endless and never changing. Hidden away, Maali had put together a collection of photos of which he'd taken that he hoped would end the conflict and give people a horrific, albeit necessary, perspective on the atrocity of the war. He had also hoped to point a lens at those who were responsible, and in many ways he does. The in-between, as I'll call it, is a place of many different characters, from demons who whisper thoughts to the living, to ghouls and even talking animals. At times it's described to be somewhat joyous, while at others it is a place of horror, full of things that will try to sway you to the dark should you let them. Underneath this world is the corruption and strife of Sri Lanka during an intense conflict. Villages of people are slain in the name of right and wrong, and bodies are disposed of, never to be seen again. It is said that when someone enters the light, they forget all of their past lives and have the choice to live again. To many, this is unfair, with people who have sinned facing no punishment and those with unresolved conflicts being just left adrift. Regardless of what life you have lived, you will have the choice to face the same end. Some refuse the light and are left wandering around for countless moons. Others debate the vast unfairness of the system. Maali meets many people in the in-between, from people he once knew to people who were captured on his camera, often in brutal circumstances. It is within the in-between that the best parts of this book can be found. As pages progress, you learn more about the central character Maali through a series of flashbacks. A rarity of this work is that it is also written in second person, and this adds to that sense of openness surrounding Maali as he floats through the spirit world. I did have difficulties with this book, and I'm sure I won't be alone in mentioning my critiques. The main one simply being the length. When first reading this book, I was very engaged with the narrative. The detail and the humour of an afterlife that initially resembles a passport office is something to behold and quite funny, but as the story progresses, the pace of this work slows significantly. I would highly recommend taking note of the characters here, as there are many, and their names may also be difficult to memorise if you're an English speaker. The book talks a lot about conflict and politics of the Sri Lankan civil war. Various factors are mentioned on both sides and referred to throughout the work. The author tries his best to explain each, but it can be difficult to come to terms with who is who from a political standpoint. On one point, this can be slightly frustrating. However, the main focus of this work is to reveal and expose the atrocities of the Sri Lankan civil war, the corruption, the parties at fault, and the difficulties of living during these times. The use of second person here adds to this expose, as Maali can drop in on any conversation where his name is mentioned. In a very bold style of writing, the central character can be in the same place as even his enemies and go unnoticed. Likewise, he can be beside his crying friends. This deeply ingrains you with the character, as there is no place or room where you are not with him. Each thing you experience as the reader is also something Maali sees, even though certain others cannot. In that sense, you can both be in places where you are unseen. Despite a slowdown in the middle of this work and a general feeling that it could have been a lot shorter, I was entertained. The main character is a flawed individual, yet I often feel that flawed individuals are the people we tend to remember more and feel more realistic. Slowly, the pieces of this plot come together, and the twist towards the end is particularly satisfying. The ending itself was giving me Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings vibes. It too could have been a little shorter, but still, I'm very glad I read this book. It's given me an insight into a conflict I knew nothing about. It shocked me in parts, bemused me in others. There is one section after the shelling of a village that I'm sure will stay with me for some time. So with all things considered, I would rate this book an 88 out of 100. My friends, thank you very much for watching another book review. The Booker Prize winner. I've read now 4 of these books, I think. Yes, 4. 4 Booker Prize winners from the past 3 years, 4 years, and I always enjoy them. They're always quite unique, something I'm not familiar with, and they do teach you a lot about things you perhaps didn't know. For example, in this one we've got the Sri Lankan Civil War, which I didn't know anything about. Now I have a means to look into it further. It certainly seemed like a very brutal conflict, particularly for those living on the ground at the time. If you'd like to learn further information about this book, please see the video description below, and please subscribe to this channel if you like this content. I have a book club on Goodreads if you'd like to have a look at that, and I'm on Goodreads if you'd like to see my latest books and what I'll be reading next. Please see all of that in the video description. I thank you very much for watching this book review, and I will see you here again soon. Bye bye.